This podcast is brought to you by JList.com. Did you know that JList is your home for all of your anime shopping needs? They have so many different things for you to choose from. They have Japanese snacks and foods, anime figures and DVDs, import PC and console, Japanese video games, plushies, clothing, and so much more. The selection is pretty much endless. So check out JList.com or the non-adult mirror site jbox.com for all of your anime shopping needs. And now, it's time to start the podcast.
Wow, 来てくれてありがとう. You're listening to the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast. Take your anime addiction to the next level at AAAPodcast.com/join. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Welcome to the 476th episode of the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast. We are now broadcasting from Denver, Colorado. And I am joined by the lovely Mandy, who is in Cincinnati. Mandy, how are you on this fine day?
I am doing wonderful. And I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to have done another Hobby Addicts episode because it's been a while since I've done one.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here and talk about anime.
We talked about a variety of things on Hobby Addicts, including Enter the Gungeon. We talked about Mo Dao Zushi, which is a Chinese anime. And I talked about how I almost died climbing one of Colorado's 14ers. So you can check that out on our Hobby Addicts. Also joining us today, we have the wonderful Mason, who is here to share with us his wonderful, exciting personality. Mason, we're glad to have you today.
That's a weird way of saying hot takes, but
So
glad to be
exciting.
back. I love when I get to join this with you guys, so thanks for having me.
Mason's here to drop some heat rocks on your bitch ass.
It's what I do. It's just
Mason-
what I do.
Mason, do you have anything special that you want to promote or anything today while you're here? I normally don't ask you, but you're here, so you might as well.
I got nothing. Just be my friend on Discord. Be my friend on my anime lists, MAKLAX, MacLax, and we'll be best buds. But
All
yeah,
right.
Come chat with us.
He's
That's it.
so simple. He just wants to be
You
your
could
friend.
promote your band.
Oh wow.
Is that a no?
We got a new singer trying out this upcoming week, so we're doing a
cool.
whole overhaul. So I'll keep you posted.
All right. Well, if you want to get our Hobby Addicts, our hentai episodes, and our after parties, and just generally help the podcast out, help us continue to operate, and feel the love, you can go to AAAPodcast.com/join. Throw us a couple dollars, and we will give you much more entertainment than you ever bargained for. So, including hearing about how I almost died on Friday, which is probably worth it. Also, on Facebook, you can join us at facebook.com/group/AAAPodcast. There's a lot of stuff going on Facebook. Icy Rose is always on there, communicating with people, gathering information via polls, and just having discussions. So Icy Rose is doing a great job, as always. The Discord is... I don't even know how many people are on the Discord at this point. Does anybody know?
I can look.
Is it like 14?
Give us-
It's got to be like 13 or 1400 now. I just don't know. But the Discord is... There's always stuff going on there. In particular, do you guys have anything that you want to... Yeah? How many?
1,212 members.
Okay, it's growing. So, do you guys have anything in particular that you want to promote that's going on the Discord real quick before we get started?
Yeah, Manga Club. You should come and join us. On the 26th, we are going to be talking Vinland Saga. We're going back to it. Mason won't be here this time. He was the only one who showed up the last time. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Our club has grown a lot. Mason and I have actually come up with some rules to kind of help, speed things up a little bit and make it a little bit easier. And if you go onto our Discord and go into the Manga Club section, you can check the pin notes and you can see like what we have coming up, we are currently going to be talking about, the dates, the chapters, and just kind of a little rundown of what we do. So you are prepared.
we have the Run with the Discord. That's still going on. It's not too late to jump on. And I'll probably be starting up another special fitness-related thing based on an anime coming out next season, maybe having to do with dumbbells. So stay tuned. It's going to be a bunch of fit boys.
Well, I gave up running, Mason, because I herniated a couple discs in my back, but I pretty much do the dumbbells every week, so I will be joining you guys for that. So, all right, and one more thing I want to say before we get started: the listener choice poll is up on the website. You can go to the website AAAPodcast.com. It's also going to be on social media. Icy Rose is putting it on Twitter, on Facebook. So get in there. You can vote for what your favorite anime was from this last season that we didn't actually pick. So you can have your voice heard. On this episode today, we're going to be talking about strategies to increase anime's Western appeal, suggested by Moraitis, who is on the Discord. So that's where he or she did that. And we're going to be doing a review of Bloom Into You, which is an anime that we're pretty late doing. I think it's from way back in like the fall.
It was the same season as Run Into You. Or Run Into You?
Run Into You.
That's right, Run Into You. Coming up next season.
Yeah, that was from way back when we were promoting with High Dive.
Watching Bloom with the Wind.
Bloom with the Wind today. Yeah.
All right, let's get this show on the road.
It's time for big news of the week.
Is anybody surprised by this piece of news?
I was, because I didn't read it till just now.
Well, apparently the Akira, which is one of the most acclaimed manga and one of the most beloved anime films of all time, is getting a Hollywood remake. This was like good God, I feel like this has been a rumor since like I was in high school.
Mm-hmm.
But it's now been given a release date of May 21st, 2021, which is just blows my mind. It's Warner Brothers is doing it. It's being directed by New Zealand director Taika Waititi, who directed Thor Ragnarok, if I'm not mistaken, back in 2017.
And he also directs
What They Did in the Shadows,
the best vampire show ever.
Which is what?
Yeah. What We Do in the Shadows. It's fantastic.
Okay.
It's
so he's pretty good then.
Yeah. That's a completely different style.
I was going to say, he definitely has a range, but he has a unique voice with the camera. So it could be interesting.
So there had been a lot of unsettling comments about this movie ever since Warner Brothers picked up the rights back in 2002, which is when I was in high school. So, including that they were going to change the setting from Neo Tokyo to Neo Manhattan. But a recent Variety magazine piece noted that the film is going to set in 2060 Tokyo. So we can put that one to rest. And there was a lot of issues. People were complaining about possible cultural appropriation and whitewashing. But the director, Waititi, said that he wanted the cast to be made up of, quote, Asian teenagers with, quote, unfound, untapped talent. So I don't think that'll be an issue there either. There was also a rumor that they were going to make Kaneda and Tetsuo brothers, which is not what the original is at all. And we haven't heard anything about that either. But I'm guessing since they fixed these other things, that will be remedied as well. Do you guys feel like this movie should get made at all? And why are they making it?
I honestly don't think it would hurt anything, probably after Ghost in the Shell, I would say.
After the most recent Blade Runner, like, there is the capacity for a good cyberpunk to be done. And I think the story of Akira lends itself better to Hollywood than Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
But I think the most alarming of the details about Neo Tokyo becoming Neo Manhattan and then them reversing that, I guess, that one would have been the most antithesis to what I want out of this movie. But having it still set in Tokyo, set at a later date where this futuristic is more believable, I think that's all good calls.
I feel like sections of the Akira story are very adaptable. Like the motorcycle chase is going to be great.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, the scene with the clowns and the bike gang, it's going to be awesome.
But
the
I
more
think... Go ahead.
the more science fiction-y parts of the movie, I'm not sure how they will do it, but because I mean, people that have seen the Akira movie, the movie kind of gets more and more confusing, at least for me, as it goes on. At least the movie, but I just don't know how they're gonna adapt, all of the science fiction with Akira and his remains and the psychic powers, and I mean, we'll see. But I just know that there's a lot of room for some pretty intense, awesome action in Akira, and just, I don't know, some awesome just bike scenes, and I think it could be really entertaining. And I think, Mandy, I think you're right. After Ghost in the Shell has been done, and also Alita.
Also, yeah, I was gonna say that as well. Battle Angel Alita, like that whole motorball scene was really cool.
Yeah, it was.
That was really fast.
I feel like if they cut out some of the slower moments with like the children psychics in the middle of the movie, and what a lot of people have trouble with the original, the kind of confusing ending, if they just make up with that with raw spectacle, I think it'll do fine.
Mm.
I hope they leave like the giant teddy bear out and stuff. It's a little odd. I think it's, and by that I mean that people that haven't seen the Akira movie, there's a scene where the three little psychic children are kind of, they're pestering Tetsuo, I guess, in like the psychic ward, and they make themselves look like a variety of children's toys that are kind of like attacking him. And I don't know, like I don't think that things like that are gonna adapt well to the big screen, and so I don't know if they're gonna keep that stuff. I mean, do you guys think a giant teddy bear that turns into milk is it turned into milk or something?
Wasn't there like a giant like toy
There was like
car?
There was like a flood that happened out of it. I don't remember if it was milk, but I believe it.
Yeah, like he's drowning, and and there is a toy car. Like it's really it's very odd, and I don't think that things like that are going to translate well to the big screen, especially for a movie that most likely will be. I guess it doesn't have to be an R-rated movie. The Akira original movie is definitely rated R.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll probably make it PG-13. I'm kind of excited. I wanted them to do this a long time ago, way back when they were saying that it was going to be Leonardo DiCaprio. There was that rumor from years and years ago about this. And I do love Akira, and it is awesome. So, and for those of you that haven't seen the original Akira, this is a good excuse for you to go get it and watch it. Not that you should need an excuse, because it's one of the most influential films in the history of anime, but go get it and watch it ahead of this movie so you can have a little bit of background.
I'm honestly probably more excited for this than the Cowboy Bebop live action.
Yeah, I think this could make a better live action than Cowboy Bebop will. That'll be interesting.
Well, the scope is certainly more manageable. There's so much that they need to cover with Bebop. I mean, I kind of feel bad for them. I don't even know how they're going to do it. Anything else here, guys?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It's time for hot new anime releases.
You guys all love Masaki Yuasa, right?
Yeah.
Never heard of him.
He's never heard of them. Nope.
No, I'm the biggest Yuasa
does not like the Tommy Galaxy
in
at
the
all.
world.
All right, well, he's got a new movie coming out called Inu O, or Dog King, I guess. So, what do you guys? How do you guys feel about? How do you feel about this? I mean, it's his studio. It's coming out in 2021. It's based on a book by Heike, based on Hideo Furukawa's 2017 novel Heike Monogatari, the tales of Heike, the demon, the dog king. So, how do you guys feel about it?
Is it a musical? I mean, not a musical, but is it about a musician? Is that what I'm? It was based on a playwright. Between the legendary playwright and the certain Biwa. Okay.
Yeah, it's about the brotherhood between a legendary playwright and a certain Biwa musician, which incorporates both modern song and dance. So
yeah, so is it like a musical?
I don't know.
I feel like it'll be like The Night Is Short, Walk On Girl, where it has musical components, but it's not going to be fully. I mean, both that and Over the Wall, his other movie that came out the same year, those are both very song centric. So I could see it remaining a theme.
Yeah, they
But
said
everything he does with Taiyo Matsumoto, he's the guy who did like Ping Pong, Tekken Concrete, and Takemitsu Samurai. He's involved with it too, with some of the designs. And if those two guys are on a project together, him and Yuasa, it's guaranteed gold, and I will love it.
it's going to be 90 minutes, so it's a full film. And for those of you that don't know, Masaaki Yuasa, he worked on Mind Game, Night is Short, Walk on Girl, Tatami Galaxy, and most recently, and probably most noteworthy in people's minds, Devilman Crybaby, which was a pretty big hit from Netflix. So I mean, the guy does great work, and so this movie has the potential to be super good. It's pretty big news. It's a lot like this feels to me a lot like hearing about a new Ghibli movie or something, because just the names behind it are pretty large. So
I mean,
Doesn't he have another film coming out soon?
well, I don't know. Mason,
Look that up.
Ooh, I guess I haven't been keeping tabs on my boy.
he's
He's
your boy. How could you?
He's my lad.
Your lad.
I thought he had something else coming out soon, but I can't remember what it was.
Also,
I feel like
Mhm.
I was gonna say I feel like that might be his studio, Science Saru. Maybe not him at the helm. I'd have to double check.
It's definitely his studio. I recall that. Netflix is also putting out another season of Ultraman. So for those of you that were big fans of Ultraman, it debuted on Netflix on April 1st, and it's a 3D CG adaptation of the Ultraman manga. And of course, the second season was announced recently at a film festival in France. Projection IG and Solar Digital Arts are going to continue to be the studio behind it, and a lot of the staff is the same. So for those of you that are fans of Ultraman, which I'm not really a huge I mean, does anybody here watch Ultraman? I don't know much about it.
I
I like the iconic designs, but that's about all I know from it. I'm very not in the know of my tokusatsu.
It seems like a big deal.
I found it. Sorry. Whenever you're done.
It seems like a big deal that Netflix continues to dump money into anime, and as we're going to discuss later, I really feel like Netflix has helped anime get into like the mainstream because it's just the service that hits so many people. So, it's probably anime's best weapon right now for getting more exposure in the West because you're putting it in front of 130 million people. So, it kind of makes sense. And what did you find, Mandy?
His other movie that's coming out is called If I Could Ride the Waves with You. And it was like a romantic comedy, and that one's coming out this summer.
I think there was a trailer released either a couple months ago or end of last year.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I really could not remember the name of it. I was like, God, I know I've seen something recently. It was going to drive me crazy, so I looked it up.
No, thank you. Now we don't get angry comments.
All right. Well, I'm gonna roll on to the next segment if no one has anything else.
Nope.
I'm really excited to talk about this next anime.
昔に帰ろう It's time to dive into the past with a retro dive.
I said it last week, and I did watch it. I watched an anime OVA called Black Magic M66 from 1987, which is when this came out. It was directed by Shiro Masamune, who has like a ton of credits from Ghost in the Shell. So and you can kind of feel it too because it's about like combat. It's about androids and has sort of that flair to it. But it's only 40 minutes long, and it's not hard to find. You guys, this is a really cool OVA. It's done by Studio AIC, who really hasn't done anything since 2016. So I'm not even sure if it was still around anymore. But most noteworthy, they did Now and Then Here and There, Horo Musuko, and Amogami SS are probably the last things that they did. So this is a really simple OVA story about two combat androids that malfunction, and they get like they're found in like the wreckage of I think it's like a plane crash or something, and the army and the military show up, and they're trying to sort of keep the lid on it so that these combat androids don't run amok and start destroying cities and kill people. And they're on this terminate at all costs mission to kill the the granddaughter of one of the creators, one of the scientists that designed the robots. And they don't really explain why the robots are going after the granddaughter. I just think that the scientist is probably stupid and just typed in a random person he knew as a target, as like a test. And there's this girl named Sybil who is a freelance journalist, and she's like out to get the story. And she reminds me so much of Raleigh Vincent from Gunsmith Cats. I mean, she is literally, she's Raleigh Vincent. It's unbelievable. And so here's why you should watch this. The animation is really quite good. The battle and fight animations with the androids are really impressive. Watching them sort of like spin around and kick people and hit people with these poles that they've got. Their movements are like even sort of mesmerizing to look at, to be honest.
They're very animalistic.
They are. Have you seen this, Mason?
I have.
Okay, they're
It's
very.
a wild ride.
There's scenes where they like crawl on all fours. It's really interesting. It sort of plays out like a monster movie in a way, with these androids chasing down Sybil and the granddaughter through these different buildings, and like there'll be scenes where the androids kind of walking very quickly behind them and they're running. There's even a scene where they get trapped inside an elevator with the android, and Sybil has like this device that is like electromagnetic or something, and it basically keeps the android away from her. But like this is where I think the OVA kind of shows off some of its more interesting cinematography, because there's some really interesting point of views like in this OVA, particularly in the elevator, that just give you like a really interesting perspective as the viewer as to what's happening. It's almost from like the android's perspective at times as she like tries to attack Sybil. God, I wish there was more. Mason, don't you wish there was more of this?
I mean, it perfectly captures the aesthetic of like the late 80s OVA. Like you said, Gunsmith Cats, but even some of the what were the blanking on the name? Don't listen to me. Just keep on going. I'll think of the name.
Okay. Yeah. Sybil, I think I loved her so much in just 40 minutes that I wish she had like her own spin-off even. Because she's just brash, and she has like this brash, ballsy attitude. She's like the kind of girl that just doesn't give an F. She'll come out of the shower with like a towel around her neck, and she'll just like sit down at like a radio and like talk to someone on the radio, like, and kick her legs up and just not give a shit. She's like walking around in her underwear and doesn't care. And so she just reminds me of Raleigh Vincent so much. The only thing about this anime that I think is lacking is the story. There's not really much backstory as to why the androids were made, why the scientists like chose the granddaughter as a target. There's not much character backstory, but at 40 minutes long, this is awesome. Like this is a gem from like the heart of anime that I think anybody really should watch, especially if you're a sci-fi fan, because this is like I can't imagine anybody who likes sci-fi not liking this.
Yeah, Masamune Shirow loves his sci-fi.
It's really good.
I don't think he's done anything that isn't sci-fi.
It's like at 40 minutes, the time investment is just so small. You guys got to check it out. It's Black Magic M66 is the name of it. Even the name is awesome. So
I was going to say it's pretty similar to what you recommended a couple of weeks back with the Battle Angel Alita OVAs, but also like Dirty Pair and like Gunbuster is what I was thinking of.
Okay.
That they all like roll into this aesthetic of like cyberpunk futuristicness, but it doesn't take itself so serious that it's not a fun ride.
No, because the characters are goofy too. Like the scientists are so silly, and the military guys they're serious, but then they're kind of silly too. Yeah, it's
Man,
really, I really liked it.
It's interesting because Masamune Shirow also did work on Appleseed, and he wrote Ghost in the Shell. But if you look at the manga for Ghost in the Shell, it's so completely different than the movie we got. It's also the kind of like quirky, goofy characters. So it's really interesting how much they changed Ghost in the Shell, and I guess they didn't change like the original characters in Black Magic. I haven't seen it, but
it's funny in Black Magic. Actually, one of the characters has an Appleseed, a green shirt that just says Appleseed on it.
Oh, really?
Interesting.
Oh, I totally missed that.
Near the end.
I totally missed that. Okay, well, I mean, I can see why. So yeah, Black Magic M66.
They did that to Apple. I was gonna say they did that to Appleseed too. The CG one was nowhere near like the manga.
But yeah, for
Interesting.
40 minutes, it's definitely worth checking out.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm gonna look it up.
I absolutely loved it. I wish there were like at least 5 more episodes. I want more story on the robots. I want more Sybil. Just everything. It was awesome. All right, who wants to tackle this trivia? Tough question this week.
I got it. So our trivia question, which you can find on our website, if you go to AAAPodcast.com and scroll down to the bottom, you can find a picture there, and it follows a theme, and then you can guess what anime you think that picture is from, and you can be entered to win fabulous prizes from us. Fabulous. And
Yeah.
the current theme is 80s OVAs, and the answer for this week was Guyver Out of Control.
Yeah,
And-
only 4 people got this. So.
Yeah, this week's winner is No Try.
He
And
didn't even try, and he got it right.
he didn't even try. Is No Try. The other correct answers were from Chibi Rob, Fisting Her North Star,
Oh,
and
God.
Golden Jedi Link. We've seen
Oh,
that name
dear Lord.
before, and every time it gets giggles.
It never gets old. All right. Mason, you want to take care of the intro trivia before we go to the news break?
Not a problem. For this week, that you'll have up until the end of the trivia to answer is, according to my anime list, what is the most anticipated anime from the summer 2019 season? Answer when we return.
What do you think, Mandy? Is it Vinland Saga?
I mean, it should be.
Dumbbell, dumbbell, dumbbell.
Dumbbell.
Spoiler, it's not dumbbell.
Hey, all you anime addicts, Mitsuki's here, and it's time for your anime news break. Following up on a news story we had a little bit earlier last year, Japan has been having a huge problem with fatal traffic accidents involving elderly drivers, and according to the Japanese National Police Agency, there were 460 fatal traffic accidents in Japan last year with drivers over 75 years or older. And of course, this is unacceptable to Japan, and so they are coming up with new rules and restrictions to satisfy and to correct this new problem. The government plans to create a new driver's license system that limits senior citizens to cars with safety features such as automatic brakes. The proposal is also going to require that people take cognitive assessment tests if they are 75 years or older when they get new driver's licenses. These rules and restrictions are going to be put before the cabinet later this month and voted upon in order to correct this growing problem in Japan. Next up, Studio Mappa is going to be putting out a new anime on the Noi Tamina block, a show known as Sanchome no Tama. It is a new take on the formerly anthropomorphic Tama and Friends, with Tama and the rest of the cast taking on human forms with animal features. The mascots were first introduced in 1983 and were featured on food packaging and stationery. So this is going to be coming out in the Noi Tamina block in January of 2020. If you're a fan of this type of anthropomorphic, cute little anime shows, get excited because Studio Mappa is a pretty popular studio that has been doing great things lately. Next up, another permanent Pokemon Cafe is going to be opening in Japan and in one of the best possible places, in Osaka's Daimaru Shinsaibashi department store. It's going to be opening in September 20th. This was after, of course, the Pokemon Company opened its first permanent Pokemon Cafe at the Pokemon Center in the Takashimaya department store in Nihonbashi, which had over 100,000 people attend for food and fun in just 6 months. And so the success of that has brought the Pokemon Company to release a new cafe in Osaka coming out in September. Lastly, Nintendo's shares fall by almost 4% after they announced that their new game, Animal Crossing New Horizons, will be delayed until the spring of 2020. Nintendo of America's president Doug Bowser told IGN that the game was delayed, quote, to make sure that our employees have a good work-life balance. So that's good to hear for maybe the only time I've ever heard that in my life relating to the creation of video games or anime. This is Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break. Now, as always, it's time to get back to the podcast.
Hey, Mandy, you look troubled. What's wrong?
But
Excuse me?
it's all of these anime boy butts. There's just so many of them. I can't decide what's my favorite. I've tried to categorize them by firmness, bounciness, rotundness.
Okay. 2 things. First, you may need some serious help. Second, why don't you go look at the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast website?
Can that help me get to the bottom of this?
Stop. You know, puns are my thing, right? Also, no, it won't help you with that at all. You are beyond help. But on our website, you can find all our past shows, along with reviews and trivia. Sign up today, and you'll have access to our Hobby Addicts and Hentai episodes.
Hentai episodes? So I can hear other people review butts for me?
Sure. I guess if you want to look at it that way.
Now that's something I can get behind.
Cheeky.
この番組は JList.com の提供でお送りします。And now, great moments in Anime Addicts Anonymous history.
What is your video game Mount Rushmore? I would say Mega Man. Mega Man deserves to be on this list.
Nowhere near the Mount Rushmore.
Are you serious?
I'm 100% serious.
Are you kidding?
I mean, yes, Mega Man has some great games, but are you kidding me?
Dude,
Mega
you
Man
are out of your mind,
on the
man.
Mount Rushmore?
You're crazy. You're gonna put Master Chief that hasn't contributed anything to gaming, and you're gonna knock out.
100%.
And you're gonna knock out Mega Man, which basically solidified Capcom as a game company.
And where are they now?
One of the biggest video game companies in the world, responsible for Resident Evil, 1,000 arcade machines.
When was the last?
Oh my god!
When was the last good
believe
Resident
it.
Evil?
I can't believe it.
Hasn't Capcom stopped making video games?
No! I would argue absolutely 100% without a doubt that Sonic the Hedgehog, who basically founded Sega himself, is more important than Master Chief.
And he fell off a cliff just like Mega Man.
But that doesn't matter. He created an entire company. Without Sega, you wouldn't have the Genesis, the Dreamcast.
Who cares about the Dreamcast? That system was...
Dude, Sega Corp is a gigantic company that makes like half of Japan's arcades.
BCom says, where is Sega now?
Making billions and billions of yen.
In the video game industry?
Yes!
In the video game industry.
Dude, you're nuts,
What video
man.
games are they making?
They make tons of video... Dude,
What video games?
You're only
What's a big Sega video game right now? What's a big
I need you to calm
I'm
down
just
so I
asking you
can
a question.
talk.
I just want to know.
And now, back to the podcast.
Welcome back to the podcast.
Hello. I just want you to know that during our break, I made a sausage and ate it.
Did you
I was
now?
hungry and I couldn't stop.
I had a fruit bar.
Nice.
So, the intro trivia question. According to Mal, what is the most anticipated anime from the summer 2019 season? Is it Vinland Saga? Could it be? Could it be? Could it be?
No.
No, it's not.
I'm not going to say the internet is wrong, but it's How to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon Season 2.
Are we surprised by that?
Yes.
2 words.
Look, Vinland
Ribbon.
Saga is really... Look, y'all need to watch Vinland Saga.
Have you seen the trailer that got released recently?
I did. Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
Wait, which trailer are we talking about? There's one that had
the one with all the CG.
Oh, was it? Wait,
It
no,
wasn't
I was
all
thinking
CG.
of the one that played the really awful, like, song in the background that I did not like. And I was like, oh, please don't let that be the OP, but it's probably going to end up being the OP.
So, Mandy, I hate to tell you this, but Vinland Saga is not even the third most anticipated
Well,
anime.
that's sad.
Then the first is as we said, How to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon Season 2. Second is Dr. Stone, which I am very interested in. It looks really cool. Third is something I've never heard of. Arifureta Shokugyo de Sekai Saikyo, which I don't know what that is. And then Vinland Saga. So you clearly need to stand up, Mandy, and let your voice be heard, and share with people how amazing Vinland Saga is, and how
What was the one that you said before Vinland Saga? The last one?
Arifureta Shokugyo de Sekai Saikyo.
I think it's an isekai, like a light novel isekai.
Oh, no. Oh, wait, there was the one with
From-
the mom that's coming out. Like, my mom and her two-hit combo. What was it? That one's coming out. That's the only
The English of that one is From Commonplace to World's Strongest.
Oh no, that's not the one I was thinking of.
You need to tell people,
There is
Mandy.
one coming out that's like based on a light novel, isekai, that's like, do you like my mom and her two-hit combo? I can't remember. It's something like that.
Yeah. I remember that. On July 8th, everyone's lives will change because Vinland Saga is coming.
I hope so.
And you need to be ready for this.
If not, I mean, the manga's fantastic.
So, all right. Well, Mandy, now I'm sure you have something else you'd like to share with us from Mandy's Manga Minute, do you not?
I have more manga to share.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Yep.
She never runs out of manga.
And now, let's take a minute for the Manga Minute with Mandy.
Alrighty, this is Mandy's Manga Minute, where I take a minute to tell you about manga and help you find something new to read. And this one is called Our Dreams at Dusk. After recently moving to Onomichi, Hiroshima, high school student Tatsuki Kaname is thrown into despair at the possibility that he may have been outed for being gay. Convinced his life is over, his despair turns into shock when he sees a woman jump out of a window of a nearby house. Tatsuki races to the house in panic, only to discover that it's a public meeting lounge owned by the woman he just saw before. Tatsuki comes face to face with the woman as she walks past him unharmed, but not before she implies that she had been watching him from afar. Confused, Tatsuki follows her up to the top of the steep hill, where he offers to briefly listen to what's on his mind. Although Tatsuki doesn't go into too much detail, he later accepts her invitation to come to the lounge to meet others with similar trouble. Our Dreams at Dusk is a slice-of-life drama written and illustrated by Yuki Kamatani. While the story focuses on Tatsuki and him discovering his sexuality while interacting with the individuals of this meeting, the author also highlights a lot of struggles from all kinds of different people in the LGBT community, whether it's bullying at school, dealing with family, like what your family thinks, or how friends react. And it can be really harsh at times, but the little group at the drop-in center always help to support each other and treat each other's issues with a great deal of sensitivity. And the author is also a big fan of visual metaphor. Yuki illustrates how Tatsuki is feeling or what he is thinking with very abstract images. And some of these are very easy to read, while some others can be a little confusing. For example, as in the synopsis, the woman jumping off and gliding down a mountain. When you first see that, you're not really sure if he's seeing things or if there is some kind of supernatural thing going on. As volume 1, I'm not sure. But it is also interesting to note that the author identifies as ex-gender and asexual, and a lot of the events in this manga are similar to things that they have gone through. The manga can be a little heart-wrenching, but it also gives a great deal of hope for a future where, we can be all accepting and welcome of difference.
Okay.
That's all I got.
Mandy, are you ever going to run out of manga?
No.
That's right.
One day I will.
That's impossible.
There's going to be a day where I'm like, I don't really want to read manga anymore. It's going to happen.
That won't, do you really think that'll happen?
It might.
I don't understand. I don't know why that would happen, though. There's no reason for that.
Yeah.
All right.
When I completely run out of bookshelf space, and I'm like, you know what? It's just time to sell them all. It's going to happen one day.
No, anything but that. That deserves another drop.
Oh, also,
not shelf space.
Before we move on, did you mention the retro poll is still up at the beginning?
No, I did not.
It was brought to my attention that you did not.
I did not. Thank you very much. I did not. There is a poll.
Thank you, IC.
Well, why don't you go ahead and handle the announcement, because I'm not really sure where it is and stuff like that.
Oh, no, it's fine. IC put up a poll on both Twitter and Facebook where you can vote for what retro show we are going to fill in for our reviews. I think we mentioned it last podcast where we failed a previously passed show, and now we're going to pass a retro review, and we came up with a list of them. Now you get to vote which one you would like to pass for us.
It was Mix.
So
Mix is the show.
Yes,
that,
Mix.
Mix is the one that bit the dust. So
Yeah, and me or Enzo, Mitz, and I have all put in options for retro reviews, and then you get to vote for which one you would like to see.
all right. Well, there's also a very clear favorite for the listener choice poll,
Is there?
and it's not a show that I would have
spoilers?
expected. Oh no, I'm not going to spoil it.
Okay.
But people should get in and vote. Vote for the listener choice for spring 2019. All right, so we have a topic here suggested by Moraitis from the Discord. The Discord has a section on it for topic suggestions. So if you get on the Discord, you can submit topics. I do read through them when I need to come up with more episodes. And you can also submit topic requests through the Mailbag. So on the top of the website, there's the Mailbag button, and you can do it through there. This topic is strategies to increase Western anime's Western appeal. So that is in, the United States and parts of Europe. So where to start? I kind of want to start by saying that I kind of feel like anime's Western appeal already has been growing on its own.
Oh, yeah. Me too.
And that I don't really know that it needs a lot of help. The Association of Japanese Animations, or AJA, put out a report in 2017 for the anime industry, and found that the overseas market had grown by almost 172% since 2013, as consumers outside Japan demand, as their demand for anime grows, and the United States was at the top of that list until 2015. So it's already growing. Now, I don't know how big that market was, in 2013 when they started measuring. You could argue that 172% growth of a peanut is just 2 peanuts, but
Yeah, I definitely think that it's really popular over here with the younger crowd, and maybe getting older people on board with it might be a little bit harder.
For me, I feel like anime is going to be brought to people through Netflix and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
where is it exactly that you feel like little kids are running into anime so much? Because you're not wrong.
Well, Cartoon Network still has anime on it, doesn't it? Toonami's still going on.
What do they have on Toonami right now?
I know My Hero Academia is on there.
Cartoon Network Toonami. Okay, let's see.
Yeah,
let's have a look. It looks like Steve Bloom's still doing the voice.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, I'm not really sure what's on there, to be honest, but it looks like...
Right now it says My Hero Academia, Dragon Ball Super, Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2,
Wow.
The Promised Neverland, which that surprises me. Sword Art Online, Alicization, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Diamond is Unbreakable, Black Clover, Boruto. There's more, but I'd have to...
All right, so that's a pretty good selection of shows.
Yeah.
So, okay. All right. Well, I guess that makes sense. To your point, I think that the consumption of anime has increased a lot. Hulu and Netflix have brought anime to the living room, and there's lots of websites that stream manga that you can pay for that have lifted up the comic book counterpart of that. There's Toonami, as we've said, that is, man, Attack on Titan Season 3 Part 2. That's very that's still coming out.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah, it says it's on 11:30 p.m.
So they're literally simulcasting that.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Looks like it.
Sure. Why not? That's awesome. There's been a lot of Hollywood films that have come out. Alita, Edge of Tomorrow came out. Akira, Ghost in the Shell. So all these, and actually, I think that probably the number one thing that is pushing this is the Marvel comic movies.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's why, One Punch Man, and I think you said once that it did better over here than it did in Japan. And probably why My Hero Academia is so popular over here as well.
Did we lose Mason?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm alive.
You're alive. Good. Well, I'd be really sad if you were dead.
I'm happy you're still alive.
Just pass out with a stick of butter in my mouth.
Oh, man.
According to Rob.
Anime's been popping up in pop culture as well. There's been a variety of basketball and football players that have been seen watching anime like on the sidelines or using anime in celebrations when they score points or whatever. So like
Yeah, they did a crossover between NBA and Kuroko no Basket as well, where they
oh really?
Yeah, they drew the Kuroko no Basket characters with different NBA team jerseys on.
Okay.
So each of them represented a different team. Unfortunately, I think the merchandise from that was only sold at Shonen Jump World, I think.
Okay.
Which is really surprising. We never got anything over here.
Well, yeah, that is surprising considering the NBA is in the U.S. Yeah. I'm not really aware of the NBA being that popular in Japan, but okay. But like, I mean, that's a nice way to like, you know, it's evidence of anime's permeation into Western society that players that are in their 20s and whatnot have grown up with anime and they are starting to like, you know, they like it. But people that are watching the sports idolize these players, and then they see their favorite players watching Dragon Ball Super on the sideline, and then they think, wow, maybe I should watch Dragon Ball Super. So, and there was a 12-minute video clip of like 4 or 5 players from the New England Patriots, and I know that because I like the Patriots, and people all around the world are gagging right now. But like they all went
visited the convention.
Yeah, they all went they all went to the anime convention. Anime Boston, I think it was, all dressed up in like Naruto cosplay and shit, and it was so funny seeing all these giant football players dressed up in cosplay with their Naruto like headbands and stuff. Just super cool that, you know, anime has come so far to be able to like, you know, have famous athletes that are, you know, actually not even like small names going to conventions and stuff, and you know, I don't know, it's been pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not wrong. Well,
we also have Elon Musk.
Oh my God, I forgot about him. Elon Musk.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look up his Twitter right now and see what his Twitter profile.
I think he changed it, but he did at one point have who was it? He had he had an anime.
He was wearing like a Kakegurui shirt at like one event.
Oh, that's right.
He's so crazy. Right now, he doesn't give an F. Right now, his Twitter profile is just a black image. There's nothing.
I think he had Edward one time.
Yeah, for sure.
Was it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was Ed Elric. Yeah, anime has become so mainstream. There's the Big Brothers Little Sisters, whatever that like social program is, where little kids come to businesses and shadow people. Mm-hmm. There were a couple kids that came in and they were visiting a girl that was in my pod and a nerdy dude that was in my pod as well. And both of them were like huge anime fans. And then of course you ask them what they're watching, and it's always this things you expect, like Sword Art Online, Tokyo Ghoul. But younger kids are, God, I was born 15 years too soon.
Mm-hmm.
You go back to being like 17 again, so I can actually be cool for watching Dragon Ball Z.
I know, right?
God, it's such a bunch of bullshit. Oh my God.
I mean, so many like people like under 30 like grew up like watching anime, whether they knew it was anime or not, like Pokemon before school or Toonami after. Like, it wasn't so much like, oh, I'm watching this weird like medium from a different country. It's like, oh, this is just TV programs that I like. Yeah. And that just like helped normalize it and make it not a big deal. And you realize later, oh, I'm watching stuff from Japan. I should probably watch more of this stuff because I liked it.
Yeah, it's really interesting where, like you were saying, but with my mom is, you know, much older. She still sees anime as being very foreign. Like, I don't know, it's weird. She doesn't see anime as just a cartoon. I don't know, she's so opposed to anime. She's always like, that stuff looks weird. I don't want to watch it. I'm like, look, I promise it's not for kids. Like, I mean, like, not all of them are for kids. You can watch some that have very adult themes.
That's why you show her Belladonna of Sadness.
Oh, yeah.
Her, look,
yeah,
Mom,
she'll love
it's
that.
just not for kids. You gotta believe me.
Yeah, she'll love Belladonna of Sadness. I'm sure. She'll be like, I don't know what the hell is going on.
That's so funny that your mom is so anti-anime. I don't
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
I can't. Well, I did get her to play Persona a little bit, but she doesn't even really play a lot of Japanese games. I don't know. It's weird. Like, she can automatically tell if it's Japanese or not. She's like,
Wow.
no, I'm good. But she loves playing video games like Tomb Raider and so on. It's crazy.
Well, I mean, you can. I mean, it's not hard to identify anime from non-anime
Yeah.
because the art style is, just so totally different. All right,
But
so yes, Mason.
I feel like overall, like the ball is already rolling on like anime increasing in popularity. Like there's nothing drastic that needs to change to keep it going. Like nothing's gonna stop its reign right now. Like it's pretty set that it's going to only continue to grow and become more mainstream.
Yeah.
So, but what else do you feel like can be done to further increase anime's Western appeal? I mean, we know that it's more popular now than it was, back in the day, when when we were kids or whatever. But what else can be done? Like what needs to continue? What do you think?
I mean,
Well, I think
go ahead.
I was gonna say for overall Western appeal, maybe stronger dubs. I don't know, because I feel like overall, not just like not in the anime community, but I mean overall, if we're trying to get people who are interested in cartoons to also watch anime, I mean like adult cartoons, like such as like Family Guy and what is it, South Park are so popular, and you
Yeah.
think if anyone can watch those, surely they could possibly watch an anime. So if we have, but there are a lot of people here who are opposed to reading subtitles. So maybe
Right.
stronger dubs and also less anime with high schools scenes, maybe.
Do you
Because
feel
I
like?
feel like that's every anime right now.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. Do you feel like that the dubs are weak though? I mean, I kind of thought we were going in a better place with dubs, but I don't really watch them, so I don't
Well,
really.
there's still a lot of anime that don't get dubs. Like for example, you'd think Kuroko no Basket would be really popular here with how popular basketball is. It doesn't have a dub at all. There's no English dub of
It's so
Kuroko.
shocking.
Yeah. So maybe I don't know.
And I
I don't
know
know.
it's not as big of a deal for like new viewers of anime, but I feel like a lot of people who prefer dubs, it's the same like
Person.
rotating cast of like
Yeah.
voice actresses and actors. So you kind of hear the same people over and over. So it doesn't help lend the variety of it that the stories deserve.
Yeah, agree. I think I've heard that before, that criticism where a lot of English dub cast is just the same people revolving over and over and over. And it becomes like, well, there's not a large variety of different
Why is that?
characters. I don't know. I think because our voice acting, I don't know, maybe our industry here is nowhere near it as it is in Japan, where voice actors are idols.
I think it's.
I don't know.
I think everything's about chasing money, and when I think about the
Yeah.
anime industry, in the States, I think of something that doesn't really carry a lot of money behind it, and because it doesn't make a lot of money, they can't really afford to pay people a lot of money to dub it, and because they can't afford to pay people a lot, I think you've got people doing dubs that either have second jobs or are doing it, or if
for
they're,
sure.
or if they're really popular, they're doing it, because they love doing it and not because they're trying to make a lot of money. And if the dubbing
And rotating between anime and video games and their own projects as well.
Or it's a stepping stone to get further in the acting community or
Yeah.
something like that.
Sure.
Now, that's a good answer. I was gonna say my proposal for like just to help keep the train of like anime progressing to the West is, be yourself, be a nerd, show your pride, but like don't be one of those people who give anime a bad name and make people associate, people who watch anime are antisocial or
Bunch of weirdos.
bunch of weirdos. They're Naruto running through school hallways, throwing imaginary jutsu spells at people. Like, let's ease back on that and give us fans a good name, because whether we like it or not, like how people perceive us kind of goes hand in hand with how they perceive anime as a whole. And being good representatives of the culture is important.
Speaking of voice actors, I just looked up Steve Bloom. Do you know that he's almost 60? And he's got
Yeah, he's been in anime forever.
And he's got 757 credits on IMDb. That's insane.
Yeah.
757 credits? That's just craziness. That's a lot. I love Steve Bloom. He's cool.
Great voice.
Yeah,
he didn't do Garcia's Wing though, so he did get that notch in his belt.
Are there going to? I wonder. I don't know. I just hope that they keep making the comic book movies, because I think the comic book movies haven't necessarily done a lot to improve anime's popularity directly, but it's making nerd culture itself more mainstream. And because of that, people are able to start watching things like anime and not feel like they're going to be social outcasts because of it. So I know that the Avengers, are they going to make any more Avengers? I guess not. But I hope that they keep making other things, because we need to have, it needs to be multi-generational to, like, I think spread that influence, like, effectively throughout society. It needs to, I think that these comic book movies need to continue to be the phenomenon that they are, to touch like every age group. And I mean, that's one thing that I think needs to continue to happen. That, and Netflix needs to keep investing in anime, because
yeah,
that, sure. I wonder how many Netflix subscribers there are now.
I don't know, but it definitely broadens it definitely delivers a larger variety of anime to a large amount of people.
I mean, just having it on every single platform, so it's always in some sort of corner, even if it's tucked away, even if they recommend, if you like Death Note, you'll like Precure. Like, even if they don't do a good job of cultivation, like, as long as it's there in an option, you're always going to pick up people.
Netflix has 148.8 million subscribers, of which 60 million of them are in the U.S. That means 1 in every 5 people in the U.S. roughly has Netflix. So, I mean, that is, if even 1% of those people watched an anime on Netflix, that's 600,000 people to watch an anime, and that's a lot of people. That's substantial. So, God, Netflix is such a beast. They added 10 million new people for the first quarter of 2019 alone. That's so insane. Like, what the hell? Man, Jesus. Does anybody not have Netflix at this point?
Right.
Good Lord.
Another thing I was thinking of, and get your opinion on this, is what do you think about Japanese humor? Because I feel like the shows that are more popular over here are the action ones. We want a lot of action, but I don't feel like Japanese humor translate. I mean, for a broad, audience, if we're trying to expand anime's appeal, I don't feel like Westerners do well with Japanese humor.
Not only that, but the cultural references in anime that people just won't get. Like people in the States, we feel nothing towards trains. Like, we don't give a shit. People in Japan are obsessed with them. Like, they love them. There's even train otaku that are so they have like
carrying around timetables.
Yeah, exactly. And they got like model trains all through their houses. And then there's like the nostalgia with high school life, because that's the last time before you, or middle school. I mean, we don't identify with that kind of stuff in the same way.
I feel like also, if we're going off that, if we're going back into creating stronger dubs, it makes it a lot harder, because I feel like a lot of Japanese humor revolves around wordplay, and that does not translate well for us at all.
No,
especially in subtitles, because unless you know something about the language, a lot of those jokes go straight over your head. So there's a big barrier there.
So are you saying that in order for anime to continue to be more popular beyond just like shonen shows, that anime needs to change?
Yes. I'm just kidding.
I mean, like, besides shows like Detroit Metal City and like Cromartie, like, those are the top of my head that have like American or Western-esque like style humor. But like, I'm reading Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei right now, which is a comedy series, but it's very much rooted in just like reflecting on the world a different way and being like, that's an interesting way of looking at it. Delightful chuckle versus, a lot of other kinds of stuff. So I don't want anime to change. But it will. It will. It just will.
I don't mean change. Maybe more shows with, I don't know, I'm just saying it's a barrier, I think.
It's difficult.
Getting larger amount of people into anime.
It is a barrier, you're right, and it's difficult because you could tell some creator of anime, oh, you need to make anime that's more, I don't know, culturally suited to the West, but they wouldn't even know how to do that.
No.
Because in the same way that like my parents or your parents or some random person on the street doesn't know jack about Japan, people in Japan don't know anything about America. You know, they think that they know superficial things like, oh, we have lots of guns and all this other crap, but like, you know, the cultural things that like resonate with us, they don't understand. So that's
it
really
becomes a struggle of like, you don't want to go in there and be like, hey, you all need to change for us. That's not what I'm saying at all. But it is definitely a barrier, and I mean, maybe more like a different variety of people in the industry, maybe. I don't know. So then you get more views when, I don't know, it'd be really hard.
Well, that might explain why most of the most popular shows are shonen shows that are based around fighting, or fantasy shows like Tokyo Ghoul, My Hero Academia, Sword Art Online. You know, because anybody can identify it's globally with people trapped in a video game or like vampires or whatever, because it's not Japanese. So, you know.
But going after a big market, like trying to define the West and what the West likes, is such a massive undertaking. But if you look at times where like anime has like focused on the niche, like Yuri on Ice, like that's kind of for the figure skating crowd. But that helped grab that whole like section of that demographic and show them, hey, anime has something for you. So even if they like chip away at like people who like this activity or this kind of sport or this card game or gambling or what have you, like that's a way to eat the elephant that is the West. One fangirl at a time.
Conquering America, one fangirl at a time. Anime.
I just have a huge map behind me of like how to take over the world. All I have is fangirl with like 5
it's just covered in waifus everywhere.
Well, it's a little disappointing because I feel like anime, if it's going to be mostly the shonen shows and the sci-fi stuff that and the fantasy things that get over to the States, I fear that like anime it'll miss certain demographics completely. Mm-hmm. Because a certain type of people are going to be watching the shonen shows, and a certain type of people are going to be watching shows about vampires, and a certain kind of people are going to be watching Sword Art Online. And what about all the other people that want to watch like romance comedies and things like that aren't going to enjoy it because they don't understand anything about Japanese life?
I mean, I went on a trip a couple weeks ago with some like college-age kids, and we were talking about anime because what else am I going to talk about? But they were asking me like, oh, what kind of stuff do you recommend and like? And I started giving recommendations, and they were stunned to realize that there were shows of anime that were less than like 100 episodes long. Like all they knew were One Piece and Naruto and Dragon Ball. And I was like, guys, most anime are not like that.
Yeah.
And they were like blown away that was even an option. Because they're like, we don't have time to watch this stuff. And I'm like, there is a better way.
The exact same thing happened to me because I went to the bookstore and this poor bookstore clerk, I think she was just trying so hard to just sell me anything.
Oh my God.
She made the mistake of coming up to me in the manga section. And she was like, oh, hey, do you like manga? I'm like, yeah. And then I started talking about the podcast. I was like, and I run a manga book club, and I'm just looking for new things that we could possibly add to the list. And she's like, oh, I was going to try to sell you manga, but you could probably talk circles around me. And she's like, well, what do you recommend? And I started, she said, what is your favorite? And then I just mentioned that my favorite anime was Natsume, and I started explaining what that was. And then I just explained that I finished Nana, and I was explaining what that was about. And she's like, oh, I was going to recommend My Hero Academia. I was like, I didn't know that there were stories like that. And I was like, yeah, there are manga for adults too.
Mandy was like, how dare you interrupt me while I'm reading my manga? I will kill you with my book.
How dare you?
And then she walked away from you, and then.
Oh man! Then she tried to sell me a book that was not a manga. She's like, "Well, I hear." She didn't even read it. I hear this one is similar to, you may have heard of Studio Ghibli, and I was like, "Oh, girl."
She should just started selling you bookshelves because that's what you really need.
Right? She tried so
that's
hard
true.
to sell me anything.
Oh my god! Yeah,
Because I think right before me, she was trying to help a woman pick out a manga for her son. So, and she was easily like, "Oh, My Hero Academia is popular, and Full Metal Alchemist is popular." So she was trying to sell those to me, but made a big mistake. Oh well.
You have ascended.
Maybe she'll go read Nana.
You're on another level.
Yeah.
Nerd alert!
Pretty much.
All right.
I think we just need to put Mandy on like a street corner with those signs where she can just like read the Gospel of Natsume and just like sell people on that.
Oh man, what is the Gospel of Natsume?
I don't know, but there's just a picture of Neko Sensei.
Yeah, it's just, Nyanka Sensei all over the place.
Mandy, do you think someday you'll have enough manga in your place to open up a used manga store?
I think I already do.
Wow.
I have 3 bookcases that are completely full.
It's a vicious cycle. Like 10 years from now, you're gonna like sell it all, and you're gonna be like, I've finally like I'm gonna minimize it. I'm gonna Marie Kondo my life, and I'm gonna do well. And you're gonna sell your final manga out the door, and you're gonna turn around, and you're gonna see all your empty bookshelves, and you're gonna be like,
cry.
You know what would go on these bookshelves, and just
manga.
Just repeat the cycle.
Funny you say that because I've done that before. I have done that so many times. The first time I moved, I was like, I don't want to move all this, and sold it. And then I was like, wait, I want my mangas back. But the other day, I just donated an entire box of manga, and you can't even tell on my shelves.
10 years,
you can't even tell that an entire box is gone.
10 years from now, Mandy's going to sell her manga, and she'll realize that she has like 2 or 3 dozen of them that have become rare and out of print, and she's going to become like a millionaire selling all these manga off.
Damn. I know Wandering Sun's worth a lot, and I have a couple of those.
When we did the manga club, it was hard to find.
Yeah. Completely off topic from what today is, but if you would like to dive down Mandy's manga realm.
We're just increasing the Western appeal right now,
We are.
We're the soldiers. We're on the front
Y'all
lines.
should read more manga. Y'all should read Vinland Saga. Damn it.
On July 8th, your life will change when Vinland Saga, if the theme song doesn't suck and it isn't half CG. And
there is a lot of CG. I went back and watched the one that Mason shared with me.
It's still going to be good. I'm excited for it. And it comes out in just like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Which means we need to be selecting anime soon. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, crazy, right?
Yeah, I actually put...
I feel like we just did.
Dumbbell.
I actually put the next 3 episodes on the website, but I forgot about that. So I think I'm gonna have to go in there and change one of them to summer picks. Oh boy.
Oh yeah. Also, Vinland Saga. If you guys join us on Manga Club, we are not affiliated with Humble Bundle, but they're doing a manga bundle right now where you can get all of what's available at Vinland Saga plus like dozens of other manga for $10.
Whoa.
So you should look into that and join us.
Okay. I really don't have much else to say on this topic.
Nope.
To be honest, I think we covered it pretty thoroughly.
Yeah.
And Mason, do you have any?
I'm all set.
Do you have anything to add?
I think the tides aren't going to turn back, and it's only going to become more popular. So we just gotta live in this good timeline before it fades out of popularity.
Do you think? Whoa! A second. Do you think that's going to happen?
I think the current aesthetic that we're living in will fade, so we should appreciate it now. The same way, like the '80s OVA that we talked about earlier. Like there's a certain style, a swagger of it that's kind of been lost by the wayside. And the anime that we know today, I think, will eventually be replaced. So you should enjoy it and just be interested to see what it will become.
They also are making more anime based on things that are already popular in the West. For example, they made the anime. Castlevania is a popular game series for everyone, and they made an anime of that. That was popular. They're also making one for Magic the Gathering.
Whoa, what?
Which is far more popular in the West than it is in Japan. Yeah, there's a Magic the Gathering anime that's coming out on Netflix. But I don't know when it is dropping, but they did announce that.
I'm actually surprised that hasn't happened. We're way off. We're going off. I'm going off topic again here.
I know, me too. Sorry.
But there's so many Magic the Gathering books. How isn't that like already a couple Hollywood movies?
Yeah.
It's a huge fan base.
It's gotta be hard though.
World of Warcraft, it took a while for that to get even one.
Yeah, but Magic the Gathering is
a different kind of lore than Magic, but
Magic the Gathering's been around for like 40 years. I mean, you know, it's got millions and millions of. I mean, WoW does too, but Magic the Gathering has books and stuff behind it. That's solid source material.
I think the issue with Magic the Gathering though is that they didn't really focus really hard on the lore until recently with the Planeswalkers. Before Planeswalkers, there were books, but they weren't fantastic and they weren't very popular. They were pretty poorly written.
Oh, really?
But
okay.
Yeah, and they would only focus on a very small part of Magic, where now they're starting to create an entire story that is encompassing, now it's all about the War of the Spark, and it's becoming more like Avengers every day.
sounds like Transformers.
A little bit, yeah.
All right. Well, I got nothing else to add here, so why don't we go to the news break and then we'll do our review of Bloomin' to You. Sound good? All right. So just like the last in-show trivia question, which was summer 2019 anime, Mason, would you like to read the in-show trivia question?
Of course I would. Which of the following anime are not premiering in the summer 2019 anime season? Dr. Stone, Vinland Saga, Tuara Kagaku no Accelerator, Sword Art Online, Alicization, War of Underworld. We might have talked about some of this earlier, but think about it and you'll get the answer when we return.
Hey everybody, Mitsuki's back. Just one more time, bringing you another dose of anime news. Well, it looks like the horse girls of Uma Musume Pretty Derby are having it rough lately. It is said that these, of course, characters from the anime have the spirit of famed racehorses in them, and of course, many of these racehorses have been advanced in age or have had injuries that have led to either their deaths or their retirements. And since the anime premiered last year, many of these horses have passed on. Special Week, King Halo, Vodka, and Hishi Amazon have all passed on, and now another of these horses has also passed on. The 27-year-old Biko Pegasus passed away on June 11th. So it's pretty sad that all these horses are dying, which is kind of sad and must make people that are fans of the Pretty Derby anime kind of sad, but I'm sure they had very good lives. Next up, the Square Enix company doesn't quite know how many parts the Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to actually have, which is a little concerning. It looks like producer Yoshinori Kitase revealed recently at E3 that the team doesn't quite know how many parts it would have, and that this game that's going to be coming out early next year is going to be focusing on just the Midgar portion of Final Fantasy VII, which if you've played the game, you know that really isn't a very big chunk of the story, maybe, 25% of it, and they say that unfortunately they can't say anything more about the future games because they don't know themselves, leading me to believe that this game will have many parts, maybe 3 or 4 parts to it. So look forward to Final Fantasy VII's Remake. You can actually get a pre-ordered copy with the Deluxe Edition on PlayStation Network right now for $80 if you're interested in getting that almost a year in advance. Next up, Hirohiko Araki, the creator of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, says that he could not have created JoJo if it hadn't been for the Sherlock Holmes stories, saying that he learned the fundamentals of storytelling from Sherlock Holmes, particularly narrative structure and how to create characters that were fun and charismatic. He enjoys the Holmes character. He says what makes Holmes great is that he may be a genius, but he's also a jerk. I've often thought that one of the conditions for being a hero is loneliness. When push comes to shove, a hero has to be able to fight and solve a case by themselves, otherwise you can't call them a hero. This coming from Araki himself. So interesting to see that those of you that are fans of JoJo have perhaps Sherlock Holmes to thank for that fandom. Maybe you should go read some Sherlock Holmes as well, and maybe you'll find some comparisons between the two franchises. And rounding us out, NPD's Book Scans has released the top 20 adult graphic novels that were sold in May, this including anime and others. Looks like there are many anime in the top of the list. A lot of them are My Hero Academia, with My Hero Academia coming in at number 10, 9, and number 4. Akira Toriyama's Dragon Ball Super Volume 5 coming in at number 3. Berserk Deluxe Volume 1 coming in at number 2. And One Punch Man Volume 16 coming in at number 1, making anime all of the top 4 best-selling graphic novels for May. So for those of you that are big fans of anime seems to be controlling the graphic novel scene for now in the United States. This is Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break. Now, once again, of course, it's time to get back to the podcast right now. Man, Chiaki, I'm so nostalgic for Japan. All I want is some Japanese candy or a canned coffee like the ones I used to have on my way to teach at my schools in Japan.
So why don't you go out to a con or something and buy some?
The prices at cons are crazy expensive, and nowhere else carries this stuff.
Mitsugi, JList.com, duh.
Do they sell Japanese snacks?
Yeah, they just started a new box service where you can get an awesome box of Japanese snacks without having to sign up for a subscription even.
Oh, no subscription? Is their stuff good though?
As good as everything else is on JList.com. It's awesome. I know you, Mitsugi. You'll love it. They have everything from anime-themed snacks to melon bread and even seasonal boxes for Halloween and other holidays.
That's great. Is it expensive though? You know, chou takai.
No, it's only $2 per item on average. And the deluxe box comes with a free drink item and a $5 J-List coupon.
Rock on. It figures JList.com would come through for me. I can't wait for my ramune flavored candies.
So go to jlist.com/box or the non-adult mirror site jbox.com/box to get yours.
Nom noms.
Nom.
Hi, my name is Tadao Tomomatsu, host of Anime Sushi and international actor and interviewer.
And I am an anime addict.
No. I'm an anime addict.
No. I'm an anime addict. Hooray.
Welcome back to the most dangerous podcast in the world.
So dangerous.
The Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. We had an intro
Most
trivia
dangerous.
question. Who wants to read it?
I can do it. So before the break, we asked the question: which of the following anime are not premiering 2019 anime? Dr. Stone, Vinland Saga, Toaru Kagaku no Accelerator, Sword Art Online, Alicization, War of the Underworld. And the answer is Sword Art Online. Alicization, War of the Underworld. That is coming out in the fall.
Synth.
Got him.
Synth.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I love it so much.
That music said, we don't care about your trivia.
The only thing more dangerous than the song is trying to pronounce Alicization.
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 Alicization. Alicitization.
Sanitation.
Sanitation. Sword Art Online, sanitation. War.
All right. We also have a 5-star review that we're going to do for you guys from iTunes. If you want to submit a 5-star review that will be read on the podcast, you can do it on iTunes, and you can help us continue to be the most well-reviewed podcast for anime on iTunes.
And the most dangerous podcast.
You damn right. Oh, shit. You damn right.
It's time for iTunes review.
All right.
The podcast that almost gets kicked off for having porn on YouTube.
Eladri, that's right. We like to take chances. Eladri 965. Oh yeah, go ahead. Please.
Eladri 965 writes, "Yo, okay, so I've never been into podcasts, so I heard you guys. The cast is amazing. I love it. I just heard your recent episode, and now I'm listening to all of them from newest to oldest. Keep up the amazing work. Hopefully you guys keep doing this for a lot more time. It helps me out during my 12-hour shifts. Keep it up." Thank you, Eladri.
Well, we'll do just that. So, thanks for the 5-star review. And again, you can do that on iTunes. And really anywhere else that you listen to us, because we say iTunes because it's just simpler to consolidate to one place. But if you're listening on Google or Spotify or whatever, it always helps out to get some reviews. Oh, and tell a friend.
Yeah.
Just compliment me. We're on whatever platform you want.
Yeah, that's right. Stroke our egos. All right, so we're going to do a review here of Bloom Into You, which is an anime that I think this was an Enzo anime.
It was an Enzo one.
Enzo's not here. It's Father's Day. But we're doing...
Wait, is Enzo a father?
Not that I know of.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Oh, no!
Thank you.
All right, who wants to lead this discussion?
I can do it. So, Bloom Into You was by Troika, who also did Idolish 7, Recreators, and was the Al Noah Zero?
Al Noah Zero, yeah.
They haven't done a lot of stuff.
Great first episode.
That's true.
And, yeah. No, Recreators was pretty good, though. That was a good, reverse isekai.
It's also based off of manga, which we did for our book club. Manga club, we covered the first 2 volumes of it. And it is a slice of life romance shoujo-ai series. And it is about this girl named Yu, who she always dreams of being confessed to one day. She loves shoujo manga, and she imagines, and she gets that little heart, her heart goes during the romance scenes, and she imagines that one day when somebody confesses to her, she will feel the same. But when that day does come and a boy confesses to her, she feels nothing, and she's confused by that, because she's like, this is the moment I've always been waiting for. But
this is not the Doki Doki I was
This is not the Doki Doki I was looking for. But then she meets another girl at school named Toko, and right away, this girl, she's very interested in her. She thinks she looks very cool. She wants to get to know her. She wants to become friends with her. And Toko is part of the student council. And so Yu ends up joining the student council to get closer to her. And very quickly, Toko confesses that she is in love with Yu. And this kind of confuses Yu, and from there on, it's about...
And me as well.
I was going to say.
And from there on, it is about their how they react to each other, as well as their own issues that they are overcoming while becoming closer to each other.
Okay.
So
that was pretty good. That's pretty good. Good job.
I just made it off the top of my head. I did not write it down.
Damn.
The author is also Makoto Kato, who... Did they do anything? I'm looking on Mal. I don't really see anything.
He hadn't directed anything else that I saw, really.
No.
Nothing that you would recognize, probably.
They directed the Beautiful Bones, the one with the female Sherlock.
Okay,
person.
yeah.
Yeah, it was Sakura's Investigation, something like that. That's the only other thing I see on the list.
So,
but yeah, what were your guys' expectations going into it?
I heard it was good, and I heard, but I expected it to be a Yuri shoujo-ai show. a romance show with girls. So that's what I expected.
I mean, I read those
That's
first.
it. I mean,
It gets
Very
hard.
simple. I love it.
Yeah, I read this back in October with Manga Club, and
Yeah.
it was fine. Like, there's some unique paneling, and Koyomi was the best girl. She made it worth it. But after I watched like the first episode, I had dropped it because it just seemed kind of unremarkable, and it was pretty 1-to-1 to the manga. So I felt like I already kind of got it, you know. So I wasn't expecting much when I had to pick this back up for the review.
I also read the first two for Manga Club, and from there, so I basically knew what to expect coming into it. But what I was expecting going into the manga was, I don't know. We have a bad history of shoujo ai and shonen ai, where I mean, I went into this right after reading Citrus.
Oh,
with
God.
a lot of, sexual harassment. I was hoping that it wasn't like that, and it's not, for those who are wondering. But I was not expecting much going into the manga, but going from the manga into the anime, I was expecting pretty much what we got, except more, beautiful artwork, because the PV looked very pretty. That was pretty much it. So spoiler-free recommendations. What do you guys recommend?
honestly, I probably wouldn't recommend this anime. Generally, I mean, the majority of it is like your run-of-the-mill high school student council show. That's like an awful lot of it, with included romance. I didn't really like the characters a lot. I think that it's hard to like the characters when they dislike themselves so much. And like there's even a couple quotes in the show that are kind of right on the nose with that I'll get to later. But I don't know. I just feel like if you want to watch a romance anime, I think that there's other shows that are probably better. If it must be, if you're like specifically looking for a shoujo I mean, I guess it's fine. But like but unless you like specifically are hunting for that, I don't think that I would really recommend it.
Maison?
I feel like if this is your first foray into this style of romance, I would say like start with something else. Either go with like the yaoi dokusei, which is Classmates, or the yuri like Saga
love that movie.
Tokase-san, which is like Morning Glory. And
Oh,
Kase-san.
they're both so good.
Like those are both like really good starting points, and if you like those, lower expectations and then watch this one, because it will provide, I think, what you're looking for. But as like a straight up romance, this would not be the first place I direct people.
Yeah.
For me, I think Bloom and Sea is a very interesting if you're going into it as a character study, because I do find you to be a very interesting character, and one that I feel like there are some people who can easily relate to her. Like seeing her struggle with figuring out why she feels nothing when a guy confesses to her, and trying to understand how she really feels about Toko, and dealing with a family that might not be very supportive of her choices, left her feeling a very realistic character to me. And I like there's not a ton of melodrama in this, but I felt like most of the characters acted pretty mature for their age. But as a romance, I don't feel too strongly towards it, because the relationship doesn't really feel like it progresses in any meaningful way through the 12 episodes. But I also know that this isn't the end of it. There is a second season that has been announced, and the manga goes past what we have seen in this anime. But I am also a big sucker for visual metaphors. And this anime doesn't beat you over the head with them, but they are in there subtly to kind of illustrate how somebody is feeling without saying it, and without, the person who's probably trying to hide how they're feeling at the time. And I think that's very interesting. There's a great deal of flower language throughout it, and I thought that was interesting, like to read over, where people dove into that. I'm a big sucker for that kind of stuff. But overall, I think it is a very delicate shoujo ai, and I always want more of those and less of Citrus. But
No. Oh,
I
come
think
on. You don't like oranges?
I do think it's interesting. If you're looking into more of a show to really dive into a character's emotional state and their inner thoughts yourself, but I wouldn't recommend it specifically if you're looking for just a romance anime.
But if all you need is people to kiss, spoiler-free girls kiss in this. So if that's your
there's a lot of
baseline
kissing.
expectation, you'll get that. So.
We usually
spoiler.
don't get that in romance anime. Spoiler.
They sort of kiss. Spoiler.
Yeah, big ass spoilers.
Here we go. All right, here we go.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
Spoiler thingy.
So, yeah.
Spoiler things going up. All right.
So right now we are going to go into spoiler section and talk about everything. So do you guys want to start with just the story, or do you just want to jump into whatever your thoughts are?
I mean, the story is kind of small. I mean, two girls meet, girl falls in love instantly, and then they kind of hang around each other and do school club activities and student council stuff, and most of the anime is about their inner thoughts and things like that. That's how I took it. So I feel like there's not a lot of this story discussion beyond the characters themselves. Do you guys feel differently?
One thing I do want to point out that I thought was very interesting that we went over in Manga is the afterword by the author at the very end of volume 1, where she's talking about she just really wanted to write stories about girls and their relationships with one another. She didn't really ever specifically say that she wanted to do romance, but then her editor said you should do a Yuri romance, and she's like, okay, I guess I'll try it. So I think it's interesting that Bloom Into You dives a lot into the characters and their inner struggles, but not so much the romance, and that might be why. At least so far,
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah. And I think you nailed it right on the head, because I think that the inner struggle and is what it's about. The fact that they're that it's a Yuri show is I don't want to say unimportant, but you could actually have the same character struggles, I think, without that. So I can see how you're saying that the editor was like, let's try doing a Yuri show, and then she was like, okay. But doesn't that kind of make it seem kind of frivolous?
It's almost like their relationship isn't to have the relationship. It's just kind of the vehicle for the characters to grow with each other's help, and it just so happens that they have that extra connection. But if it was just a deep friendship, it would kind of work just as well. And that's kind of how it, I guess, acts with the one-sidedness of the relationship. But that's
we also mentioned in Manga Club, Mason was also there for that, how fast Toko is quickly. I think I'm in love with you. It didn't feel any of that felt natural to us. But I did think Yu's progression throughout the whole series felt pretty natural. First, she's really confused. I don't know what to think or feel. I didn't feel anything from the guy, but I have a lot of interest in Toko. But I don't think it's romantic. And then as gradually as it goes on, other people are talking to her about when she mentioned every time she mentions Toko, I think you actually like her. And she starts coming to the realization, yeah, I think I do like her.
Or at least she wants to try to like her.
Yeah.
Which counts for something, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's a weird romance. The Toko is she's very forceful at times, and there's a lot of kissing, but you never really. Does she kiss her back ever? She's always like, "Oh, yeah, I like you." Well, I mean, the one girl's like, "I like you," and then you says, "Oh, well, that's really nice, but I don't really like anybody I don't like you or anybody really." But then they hang around each other all the time anyway, and then they do an awful lot of kissing. But I feel like you never really wants to and never really reciprocates all that much, except for maybe one scene in where they're in the shed of the school and they're sitting Yu's sitting on Toko. And then like even then she doesn't really go for it. So
she
like,
tries to, and she just can't bring herself to do it.
She just can't do it. And I kind of feel bad for Toko because she's like, I could see her being a very painful person to have a relationship with because she's like willing to be there and willing to, string you along, for lack of a better word, but then she's not really very committal to it and she's not really into it. So I don't know why she's there necessarily.
Toko's like, I love you. And you just like thumbs up.
I'm just confused a little by it. And then like there were some comments in the show where Toko says, I like you, but I want you to hate me. And Yu's like, what? And Toko's like, I hate myself, so I can't be in a relationship with you. I can't be in a relationship with you if you like something that I hate. And I'm like, what? Like, what? Like, it doesn't make any sense at all.
It does dive a lot into Toko's self-image and how she values herself, because she doesn't like herself, so she's trying to become her sister. And that's why we get that whole thing with the play. But the interesting thing is that the image she had of her sister is not who her sister really was. When she talks about her sister to somebody else, or I think it was Yu talks to somebody about Toko's sister, their image of what her sister was is completely different than what Toko's image was.
Well, Toko talks to her sister's like classmate, the acting guy who comes to help out with their play.
Yes.
Jumping all the way to the end of the story, but it is what it is.
But it's important throughout the entire thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's so I think I was confused why she developed interest in Yu so quickly, because I don't feel like Yu did much to earn that, but I don't know. It is very interesting though. Like it's where it's not like a healthy relationship. They're both using each other for something, but I don't know. I feel like the way that it ended in the anime, well, at least of what we have seen, is pretty much how it started. I don't feel like we got any massive development in that.
Yeah, I agree. You know, I'm the kind of person that believes that like if you're gonna love somebody, it doesn't just happen like instantly. You know, like you have to spend time and develop feelings, and there needs to be maybe a moment. You know, actions speak louder than words. Like all these things are important. And like, I'm not really the fairy tale person that's like, oh, I saw you across the room and I fell in love instantly, and now like my life's different. Like I have never experienced that, and I don't really believe that type of thing is necessarily like, you know, it's something that exists. So like for her to just walk in and have you standing there and it's like, boom, I love you. Like I mean, it's tough to buy, you know.
Agreed, but to play devil's advocate, I feel like it kind of, we're supposed to, at least I read this mainly from point of view, which is why we get all her internal monologue, and I think that helps us serve like her like disbelief and like why does she like me, like this like it helps like disconnect us from what this romance is like I'm sure maybe if we had a different point of view we could see this build at least to some degree, but because we're supposed to view this from through her eyes, where like this is not the love I was promised, this is not what I'm searching, why it feels extra sudden and out of nowhere.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean, overall, like the romance of this show is like the weakest part. Like the relationship outside of that is solid, but like that togetherness is what I think throws a lot of us off.
Something else that I did like though is when you were talking about, there is a lot of kissing, but I like that after the initial first kiss, they actually have a conversation about consent where Toko's like, actually felt really bad about spontaneously kissing you because make you feel very awkward.
And ask for like permission.
Yeah, and she actually asks her for permission. I thought that was a wonderful touch. I was like, man, we had never seen that in any romance anime. Someone gets spontaneously kissed, they just blow it off and don't even care anymore. I don't know. But there wasn't a lot of drama of like, you know, jealousies or anything like that. I thought overall they were all pretty mature, and I thought it was a pretty decent drama, but not a romance, I would say.
I mean, you kind of mentioned it earlier, and this show avoided the the biggest sin that things can commit in my mind, which is like the gross misunderstandings.
Oh yeah.
Where like one character says something to another and they completely misread it, and another character mishears it, and then they spread like that kind of stuff that's just painful to watch, and they kind of use that to create like a pseudo sense of drama. All the characters here, like you said, are way more mature, and it makes it an easier watch than had they been just daft.
Yeah. I agree. How did you guys think about, like, I think Mason would probably pick up on this, about the visual metaphors throughout the entire thing. I thought they did quite a lot of it. I think the one that I liked the most was when the boy who really wants to be like an outsider and just watch their relationship, because he doesn't want to be in a relationship. He just wants to watch other people.
My man.
And I know. I think we talked about that in Manga Club. It's like, it's Mason. He just wants to watch romances, but he doesn't want to take part in them. When he corners you, and she's feeling very cornered by him in the forest when he's confronting her, and it shows that clip of a butterfly with the praying mantis watching, just casually while they're talking. Man, that was done really well to really show how she felt like she was being attacked.
There was also some nice like framing shots in like the very first couple of episodes where they would walk alongside one another, but there would be like a line or something in the road from like traffic or like whatever that just like had like that dividing line. And they did that a little bit in the manga, and I'm glad that they kept that and brought it over into the anime.
Yeah, I think we talked about that. We covered that as well. One scene that I really like is when Toko is jumping across the rocks in like the it's not a lake. What was it? It was like a little water path.
Yeah,
she's jumping across the rocks.
Across the river.
Yeah, and it's that moment for the first time she's like, I don't want you to love me. Or something to that effect. And you started feeling the real distance between them, and then it does everything. It puts so much stuff in between them to really illustrate how far away Toko was from her at that point. Because at this point, Yu is starting to become interested. She's like, I might have more than just a friendship feeling towards Toko, and I would like to try to shrink that gap. But then Toko immediately puts more space in between them. I thought that part was really well done.
I mean, I feel like overall the art was pretty bland. Like the characters themselves were very flat. Like the world around them was pretty good, but like the characters themselves just were very flat. They constantly had these like close-up shots of characters' eyes, but they didn't do any like extra work. They just looked very standard.
Yeah,
everyone when they moved, they had like no weight to them. Like girls were like 90% made of fluff. There was no like gravity to anything.
Girls are made of fluff, Mason.
But every single sugar, spice, everything fluff.
Nice.
Oh, everything fluff. Yeah.
Okay.
But like despite this, almost in every single episode, there was at least one shot that was just like, they tried a little bit harder than they had to. Like episode 6, there's a scene where the teacher is like talking to you, and he takes off his glasses and wipes them, and like pulls them across his body, and like the refraction of it like changes, like as if it bends the light and warps the image. And they put the detail to put that in, and they didn't need to. And it was just like, that was a nice touch. Or like you said, the water scenes. I mean, the train scene in episode 2, even though that kiss was very one-sided and awkward, like it was really well done. Yeah. And they brought out the big guns when they had to. So overall, for this kind of show, it was fine. Yeah,
while I was watching it, I was taking notes on my phone, and I also put down that all of the characters kind of had at least all of the girls had the exact same face, but just different hair. Oh my God, they all looked exactly the same. So I wasn't too big on the characters, but I thought the background art was pretty solid.
Background art was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lighting was also pretty decent as well.
The lighting and the background art wasn't bad, but the animation itself I thought was super mediocre.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I mean, so many panning shots and scenes where characters are like locked in place and frozen while somebody else talks or moves. You'll have like a classroom with 15 people in it, and they're all doing something like eating lunch or whatever. One person's talking, and like the whole room is just frozen. I'm like, wow, it's like amazing how you can like all just like freeze in place while you're eating a sandwich.
Even better, in episode 2, they're like in the gym playing volleyball, And there are scenes where just this crowded gym, just every single character blanks out of existence, and it's completely empty while they have a conversation, and then they snap back in later.
Right.
But
I guess that's Troika. You know, I don't know.
that's how they do their thing.
I
I
guess.
do want a fun fact though. In episode 7, when they do like this English pop quiz, where like
Yeah.
Sayaka like competes against Toko, and like Toko gets like a perfect score, and Sayaka like gets one wrong. She actually got the right answer. She just misspelled the word gradually. She only put one L in it. And I was like, that was like a nice deal to show like how close like she's pushing Toko to like her absolute extremes of like trying to be perfect. And I don't know. That was a nice little touch. But overall the art was just barely good enough to exist.
Yeah. I really did not care for the ending theme. It was very I don't know, like Vocaloid-ish, like Vocaloid almost, and I don't dislike Vocaloid necessarily. It just didn't feel like it fit the anime very well. So that's and the music other than that I found to be mostly unremarkable.
The music was just all melody. There was no like rhythm or like anything memorable about it.
Yeah,
it was as light and airy as the characters.
Like having just watched the show, I already can't remember what the music is. So,
I remember some background music that reminded me a little bit of Natsume. Well, it was like at the very beginning. I can't remember what it was though. Not the OP or ED. It was just some background music. I can't remember what it was, but I was like, oh, that sounds familiar.
I mean, while we're talking about sounds though, I thought especially Seiyu did an exceptional job.
Yeah.
The voice actresses was great. And I'm not like deep into like the Seiyu market, but like the person who did her, Takada Yuki, she was like also like Oba in New Game, but she like from her like internal monologues, like her almost like spitefulness over like how dare you find love when I'm still searching, and just like all the different range of it. I thought she did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I really liked you as a character. I don't know. I felt like there was a lot of different people could probably find something in her to relate to, as far as being very confused in those early stages of romance and trying to figure out exactly what you're looking for. I don't know. I really liked her a lot.
But she's no Koyomi. Oh my goodness.
She's no
Best
Koyomi.
girl. She's so good. She's amazing. I love her.
What do you love about Koyomi?
She doesn't have time for any of that romance nonsense. Wheel nose to the grindstone. She's about her writing, being the best her that she can be. She commits, and she's great. And and everyone else. I really like the outfits, like the style, like even like the one-off characters. Like when we see Toko's parents, like they're wearing very like bland, monotone, like white, like pure clothes, and it just like fits their characters. But no, all the characters I thought had great outfits that fit their personalities.
Something that we talked about in Manga Club, between chapters, you get those full page art of like the chapter intros pages, and all of them were a character with a bunch of different flowers around them. And somebody in our club, I believe it was Motoko, but it could have been somebody else. I'm sorry if I got that wrong, but somebody really dove into the flower language of
Yes, I remember this.
Yeah, and because we were kind of wondering what bloom into you meant, and somebody was able to really dive into the flower language. I thought that was pretty cool. They brought that over into this, but they didn't like smash it over your head. Nobody explained to you like, this is what this means. They gave you a little bit of a hint in the part where they're like, what do you think about those flowers? And it was like when they were all walking around, like, which of those flowers do you like the most, if you remember? And so it kind of gave you a hint that maybe the flowers relate to the story some way. And it's interesting when you think about which flower each of them picked, but it doesn't smash you over the head to explain it to you. It's like something to look up on your own. I thought that was interesting. And also the OP. The OP had a lot of flower stuff at the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So, you want
really quick? What did you think of the ending? Or does that just kind of wrap into the final conclusions?
I mean,
because I feel like a lot of people saw the ending and were just like, oh, like it left us hanging, like this is left us in media res, like this is unsatisfying. And I actually didn't think that. I thought that we saw enough of what the play would be and what would become of it that I didn't actually need to see it to understand.
Oh, you mean people
come
are
to an idea.
upset that they didn't get to see the play?
Yeah, I feel like people would have watched it and felt like they got gypped and like, oh, you cut us off right before the end.
Yeah, I
felt like I didn't need to see that come to fruition. Like, we got it. We saw them practice. We saw them grow.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Into it. Like, we know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to come after it and how Toko's going to read into it. But
yeah,
at least for season 1, I thought that was actually a fine ending point.
Yeah, it was a little like I'm not worried about the play at all. I wasn't really expecting to see that. It was a little as far as just the romance goes, I was hoping that there'd be something at the end that gave us a hint that it's going to progress to something a little bit more meaningful. Because at this point, I have no idea what season 2 is going to be like. Yeah. Because, I mean, I don't know. We know that Yu is very interested in Toko, but we don't know if Toko is going to be able to overcome her self-image quite yet. I don't know.
It's a slow burn. Probably won't
it's
even progress
definitely
until
a slow
season
burn,
3.
Sure. It's interesting because every manga is completely different. At least manga adaptations. But usually what I read when I see an adaptation, the first anime, a manga volume will usually cover 2 episodes of the anime. Usually. All of them are completely different. But Blue and You, the second volume ending didn't happen till like episode 6 or 7.
Yeah, it got us like halfway through.
Yeah, I was really surprised. I was thinking, oh, I'm going to know what like the first couple episodes are going to be like. But then it kept going. I'm like, no, I've read all of this. Yeah. So I was really surprised it carried me so far. Like, it just was moving so much slower than the manga was.
Yeah, I mean, the ending for me was just kind of a lot like the rest of the show. It didn't even feel like an ending, to be frank. If you had removed the episode number, I don't know that I would have been able to tell you what point in the show I was. I don't know. I found it a little underwhelming, but honestly, it's kind of what I expected because, I haven't gone through the whole show at that point. I kind of figured that, the relationship we weren't going to get a lot of visual progression on the relationship. It's nice to hear them like having like serious discussions about themselves and things like that. But I think the ending was kind of what I expected. And that is, ultimately, like, I think a lot of people were unsatisfied by the ending because they want more of the romance, but like ultimately you have to realize that I don't really think that's what this show is about. And so, if that's what you're hunting for, like, I think you're hunting in the wrong place. You're looking for a giraffe in like, Europe somewhere. You're not gonna find one.
Are we ready for final score? Do you guys got anything else?
Oh, I'm ready.
I think I'm set.
Let's do it. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I didn't think this show was really my cup of tea, I would say. I was, for lack of a better word, bored through most of it. I don't know, I found the pacing to be really tough. And it was just not, I just didn't find it interesting. I don't know if I'm just like not in the point and mentally where I'm like interested in watching romance shows in general or what. I feel like I haven't really enjoyed the last few romance shows that I've watched, but like this one in particular, I just found it to be a little frustrating and not that engaging. And so like if I'm reviewing this how I feel like I enjoyed it, I'm going to be fairly harsh on it and I'm going to give it 2.5 awkward kisses out of 5. I just didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it at all. For me, it's a very average show. It tries to be more than it's more than average in some ways, like in terms of the character's depth and things like that. But I don't watch a show just to watch like two broken characters, try to find their way. Like to me, that's just not that interesting. It's just not entertaining enough. I needed something else in there to tie it all together, and I don't really feel like this show really made the effort on that. And honestly, I don't know that the characters really made that much progress, and I don't know that I got evidence of that at the end. So, yeah. I feel bad for the 2.5, but it is what it is.
Mason, I want to go last. So
Excellent. Yes, I will go. So while I like the fact that a lot of the characters I kind of saw myself in when they're kind of like cold apathy to like what it means to be like in love or like the experience of being romantic. Like I was hoping that it would tell me more about myself and like give like some insight that a lot of romance shows kind of skip over. And like I said, like the romance of the show is like the weakest part, which is kind of a big knock against a show like this. But overall, I thought that despite the art, enough of the production brought it together that I'm glad that I picked it back up after dropping it. So originally I had this rated out of awkward handholds, but since we just gave it awkward kiss, I'm gonna have to go with 2.5.
Oh.
Koyomi is the best girl out of 5. Don't forget it, folks.
Koyomi is the best girl.
This needs to be known. She's underappreciated.
what about
Very
the boy?
underappreciated.
Not best girl, but what about the best boy?
Maki's great.
He's your dude.
He's
He's kind of sick in a way. He's like,
Oh, yeah.
He's like, oh, to dance. I'm keeping a secret so you can dance for me as my personal puppet.
private romance just for
That's
me.
so perverse.
My favorite.
See, so perverse. Oh man. Okay.
As he sits back in this empty movie theater.
Empty movie theater. What? You're not supposed to fall in love with the director.
Oh my god.
All right, Mandy, lay it on us.
So yeah, I am 1000% a fan of drama. I love broken characters trying to find their way. That's my thing. That's my cup of tea.
That's true.
Bloom into You, I feel like it does have issues like we illustrated before with it is labeled as a romance, and so far at least, this could completely change in the later seasons, and I haven't read more of the manga. It could completely change, but as of right now, I don't feel like the romance developed in any meaningful way. But as far as the drama and the characters, I did enjoy it, and I feel like if it was labeled as just a drama, I thought it would have been really awesome that they just slid in, lesbian characters. I think that would be really awesome. They're like, this isn't a shoujo ai, but they just put them into a drama. I thought that would have been very awesome. But as a romance, I don't know. I'm interested in seeing what happens later on in following seasons. But overall, I did enjoy it, and I think I would give it 3.5 blooming flowers out of 5.
Yeah.
Well, you're right in line with social media, Mandy, because according to Icy Rose, who has very generously tabulated people's scores from social media, the average score from social media was a 3.5, with the most common score being a 4, which I find very far from me personally. So I'm a little surprised by that, but that's fine. That's fine.
Mandy, voice of the people, coming through.
That's right. All right, let's tackle a couple mailbags, and then we will peace out.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag. Anime.
Mailbag.
Did Mason
right.
do the dance?
I tried, but I didn't have anyone to look at on YouTube
Damn.
to reference, so I
Sorry.
kind of just wiggled. I just kind of wiggled in my chair awkwardly.
Well, when we're all on video, you can look awkward while you dance all you want.
Oh, excellent.
So the mailbags are on the website, AAAPodcast.com. Along the top, there's a mailbag button. We haven't been getting as many mailbags as usual lately, and I don't know why that is exactly, but feel free to send in more mailbags. So, on the website. The first mailbag is by Saiyans Pride. Hey, Anime Addicts, I'm a fairly new listener. However, I have gone back and listened to the episodes since 2016. Wanted to thank you all for doing what you do. It helps that you are all very diverse on certain topics and not all just agreeing on each subject. Before I go, I do have one question. As I am new to anime, even on some older titles like One Piece, I just started it. Yes, from the beginning. I don't know. That's masochistic.
Damn. I think Mason did that too.
I tried. Yeah.
How far did you get?
We'll talk about it. We'll talk. We'll finish the mailbag and then I'll answer it.
I wanted to know if you guys are still fans of One Piece, or if you just got tired of it since it's still going on. You may have talked about it in the past, or perhaps I didn't go far back enough to do my research. Anyway, thanks, Anime Addicts. P.S. Mitts, the Hobby Addicts on Game of Thrones Episode 3. I feel your pain, but don't hate on Arya, bro. She's a badass. I love you guys and gal. Saiyans Pride.
Shame.
Shame. Damn.
All right, so how far did you get in One Piece?
So I think I talked about this last time, but like One Piece was like my first like real anime that I started back before I knew anything better. And I watched like 100 or so episodes of it, and it was a pretty good time. I just kind of fell out of time to watch it. But I think like middle of last year, I was like, you know what? I kind of had like not much on my plate to watch, so I figured let me start from the beginning again and really, with what I know now, see if it holds up. And overall, it does, but around episode like mid-70s, mid-80s, it just wasn't worth the time to watch compared to some of the other stuff that's out there. So, am I a fan of One Piece? Yes, I love the concept of it. I like what it's done for anime, and the art, especially in the manga, is fantastic. But as like a piece of media to like consume, especially weekly if you're still keeping up with it, I think there are way better options out there. As someone who has barely seen much of it.
Yeah, I honestly have never seen One Piece. I'm so sorry. I can't really say anything.
I mean, I've heard the movies are fantastic, but I haven't checked them out because it's so far behind. But I tried to get back into it, and there needs to be a good reason for me to actually commit to it.
At this point,
it's one of those where when I see the episode count, I'm like, I don't know if I can.
I mean, I watched all of Gintama, which itself is a massive undertaking, and that's not even half of the length. So
right.
Well, it's like One Piece is like 600 or 700 episodes now or whatever, but like you could watch it and say, "Oh my god, I've watched the longest anime ever made," but no, it's not even close to the longest anime ever made. So you wouldn't even have that title for yourself because it falls well short of Shin-Chan, Detective Conan, Sazae-san. Like there are shows out there that are far longer than One Piece. So I haven't watched it.
I picture someone who's like very invested in their My Anime List account and like racking up all the numbers to show like, yeah, I'm a true anime fan. I watch everything. I've seen hundreds of thousands of anime, and they finish One Piece, and I turn to them, and I'm just like, still only counts as one.
Yeah, exactly. Also, on a side note, Arya can't even finish her list. First of all,
Arya's great.
She wimped out when the going got rough at the end there. So
she didn't wimp out. She went, I don't want to die right now.
Oh, she wimped out. She wimped out. If you want the big fish, you gotta put it all on the line. Get it? All right. So who wants to read the last mailbag?
I got this one.
Okay, you do.
I was gonna say this is from Moraitis, who gave us actually the topic of this episode and a bunch of topics in the past. So keep it up. The mailbag is recently with the success of Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, Dororo, Demon Slayer, and the much anticipated Vinland Saga. I don't know why I said it like that. It seems as if historical fantasy.
Yes.
It seems as if historical fantasy is starting to make a comeback. However, most of these are set in Japan, so my question is, what historical settings would you like to see get a chance to be displayed in anime? For example, I personally think that there's a lot of potential in an Egyptian setting with the rich history, politics, unique architecture, and massive mythology could be really interesting.
That would be awesome.
Yeah. Is that a JoJo reference?
Is that a JoJo reference? I mean, that was definitely historical, right?
Yeah.
That was very historically accurate.
I'd like more Rome, like Roman and Greek mythology. Or like Troy. They can make it. I mean, I'm never gonna get tired of watching someone siege the city of Troy. It's just badass.
I said something from the Italian Renaissance period would be cool. I don't know what that could possibly be, but on the top of my head, I was like, the area of Assassin's Creed was pretty cool. So they did something like that in an anime. That I don't know. Interesting.
I was saying I want to see something from like the Mayan, like Aztec era, like something like South America, where it's kind of like there's a lore behind it that they could really kind of go crazy with and be fantastical about it. That'd be neat. I don't think we get much media from there.
What's interesting is Spirit Circle, the manga. If they ever made an anime of that, that would be pretty interesting. This is by the
Is that like Lucifer and the Biscuit?
Yes, the same author. Yes.
Okay.
My brain is dead right now, and I can't remember his name. But yeah, Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammers, same author.
And Planet With and all that.
Yeah, and Planet With. That manga, in that story, the main character relives his past lives, and it does show some of like his life during like in ancient Egypt, and so that would be cool because it does go through a bunch of different areas that we haven't seen before or much of in anime, and then you'd get like all of them, so it'd be pretty cool. I don't know if they'll ever turn that into an anime though.
All right, guys. Well, we've reached the end. Yet again.
Almost just a hair over 2 hours. That's not bad.
Yeah, not too bad. So thanks everybody for listening. And if you want to contribute to the podcast, you can find it at AAAPodcast.com/join. We did our Hobby Addicts before this podcast, and we're going to be doing an after party after this. So you can get all of that at AAAPodcast.com/join, and you can help out the podcast and make sure we stick around forever. More or less. So, of course, you can subscribe on iTunes. You can follow us there. We're on Spotify. We're on Stitcher. Google. Does Google Play even exist anymore? I'm not really sure. But wherever you listen to us from, thank you very much. And, of course, you can find all of us on social media. Mandy's at...
AAA_Mandy with an I.
There you go. Are you on Twitter, Mason?
I am not.
Okay.
You should be.
You can find me not on Twitter, not on Instagram, not on Snapchat.
Snapface. Snapface.
But you should send him messages telling him to come to Manga Club and to skip hockey.
I'm sorry, my people. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time on the podcast next Sunday, where we're going to do Price of Smiles and going to have a good time. So, see you next week. Peace out.
Adios, everyone. Have a good one.